David Stern, for all of his horrible things that he did, because you watched that doc that I did as well. Yep. He's the prior commissioner before Adam Silver. I do think David Stern was a trailblazer, and although he pissed a lot of people off, and I think he was a tyrant at times, I think he was really good for the league.
No, they need David Stern right now. Rest in peace.
I think
David Stern was around right now. A lot of this nonsense that's going on in the NBA wouldn't be happening.
I agree.
The John Morant stuff, John Morant would have been suspended a lot longer.
I agree. You can't be partners with the owners and partners with the players.
Right. No, you got to draw the line in the sand.
As the commissioner, you work as an ambassador of the game, but really, you're there for the owners. Right. That's what you're there.
Doubt.
It's a union amongst owners, and you're the head guy. And I feel like if I'm one of the owners, I would think that Adam Silver's done a very poor job.
The John Morant situation, right then and there, Adam Silver had a chance to put the hammer down and say, you know what, John, this is bad for the league.
Yeah.
But instead, you give him a suspension when, he's already served 6 games. No, that was a team-imposed suspension on John Morant. The NBA had nothing to do with that. So anyway, Adam Silver, I think, has done a terrible job. But when you think about 4 years ago, Adam Silver was lauded. Yeah, Players League, and the players really like him, and the league is going in the right direction. He's fumbled a lot of ball. Even just look at from this sense. Mm-hmm. The NBA Finals are happening with the Boston Celtics and the Golden State Warriors.
I'm glad you're bringing this up.
And the talking points on the major networks was Kevin Durant wants out of Brooklyn. What's going on in Brooklyn with Kevin Durant? They got swept out in the first round. Why is Kevin Durant and the Brooklyn Nets a talking point? The league should have been selling, and your major partner, ESPN, which broadcasts all your games, including the NBA Finals, you're dismissing a classic series, a classic West Coast versus East Coast matchup, two of the original franchises in the NBA between the Warriors and the Celtics, and you're discussing Kevin Durant and whether or not he wants out of Brooklyn. What's going on with the LA Lakers? The talking heads on your major networks that are partners with your game are not even worried about the NBA Finals. Adam Silver should have done something about that. Say, hey, ESPN. You don't think Roger Goodell in the NFL will say, hey, NFL, get off this breath?
Yeah.
Talk about the games happening.
We didn't talk about Aaron Rodgers leaving during the Mahomes Super Bowl.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. And I think that when I look at the league right now, the consumer, they're not rejecting the product.
Right.
But they're telling you in subtle ways they're not as into the product as they used to be. Mm-hmm. Did you know, I had to look this up. Did you know that the ALCS and the NLCS on Fox 1 outrated the Eastern and Western Conference Finals? Every single baseball game in the AL and NLCS outrated every single Eastern and Western. I couldn't believe that.
I couldn't either.
That's crazy.
Now, think about this. You had Celtics Warriors, one of the blue blood organizations in the sport, against one of the most popular television products that the league currently has, the Golden State Warriors. And they struggled to beat Astros Phillies?
Well, ALCS and NLCS, it was Astros.
No, I'm talking about the World Series.
World Series.
And the finals had very comparable ratings.
Very comparable ratings.
Okay?
But you were talking about, I'm talking the NLCS was Padres Phillies. It was Padres Phillies this past year.
Yes.
And the ALCS was Astros. Who's in the ALCS?
I can't even
Astros.
remember.
It wasn't Yankees.
No, they were already
It wasn't
bounced.
Red Sox. It wasn't Cleveland. They beat the Mariners in the first round. This had to be, was it Tampa Bay?
Might have been Tampa Bay.
Yeah. We can't even name it. And then you had I think it was Miami Heat versus Boston.
Miami Heat versus Boston.
And then the Warriors were facing Dallas. Big markets.
Yep.
South Florida, big market. Yep. Dallas, big market. So I think at some level, the consumer is not being served by the NBA. No. I don't know who's playing when they're playing. I don't really care. Guys are bouncing, going around all over the place. Kyrie Irving is one of the great players the game, talent-wise, has ever seen. How many teams has he been on?
Yeah, 4 now.
How about Russell Westbrook?
Mavericks.
The end of his career. James Harden. Yeah. Kevin Durant. Go around your league. Look at they're moving too quickly. Yep. Teams can't embrace their guys. And so I look at what they've built right now in the NBA, and I think that they're in a really tough spot.
They're in a very tough spot.
And I think they need to look at what they've been doing.
Well, also because you have some of your top players being from Greece, being from Europe.
That factors. That's the problem with baseball.
International talent. But
we can't even pronounce a Rosarena, a lot of people, and he's one of the stars of the game.
But it feels like we've embraced these Ronald Acuna Jr.'s, Vladimir Guerrero
More
Jr.'s.
than Giannis?
Yeah.
Something to clean up real quick. The Rays got knocked out first round against the Guardians, who lost to the Yankees. Yankees got swept in the ALCS. Remember, they were booing
Astros. Oh, yeah, that's right.
They're booing Aaron Judge.
They can't, because Mike Francesco was going crazy saying the Astros own us.
Yes.
They own us. They're in our domes. You can't beat the Astros.
The NFL, the NFL, for example, we compare to the other two sports. Highest rated Cowboy Niner game of all time.
Yeah.
How? Like how? The Super Bowl was up in viewership as everyone's cutting cords and everyone's viewing through all these different streaming platforms that don't get recognized by Nielsen ratings. They're up. Yet the NBA and baseball has actually risen in the last couple years because it was down big 5 years ago. But it's come back. The NBA is lower and lower and lower. They're in an inflection point.
I think baseball with their playoffs and their format has really we bitched and moaned about the wild card spot, the extra wild card spot. But you involve more markets in there. And now if baseball can just tweak a couple things. Like, I really like Smoltz's idea that he had about 5 years ago where in the minor leagues you have a first half and second half champ.
60 games.
First half champ, second half champ. Maybe you do 60 game sprint first half of the season, second half of the season.
120 is the sweet spot.
And you get the first half and second half champ meeting in the playoffs, and then you got the other playoff spots. I don't know how you work that out, but there's more urgency with baseball. The pitch clock is going to help. I think universal DH is going to help because now everybody, we don't need pitchers hitting. Well, don't worry about that now. Pitchers are not going to hit.
And then also, the banning of the shift.
The banning of the shift, and so now you're going to get more action on the base pass.
It's already paying dividends.
It's going to be a more appealing game.
Have you watched any spring training games?
I don't watch spring training. I'll watch the World Baseball Classic. I'm not going to watch
the World Baseball Classic at times has gotten slow because I'm recalibrated to the new game. Right. And once, if you look at your when the Giants start, depending on where the clock is going to be, if it's not in your sight of vision, you don't notice the pitch clock at all.
Don't.
You just see that the rhythm of the game is so much faster.
No, you don't. You don't. But
I applaud Manfred for what he's doing.
I think Manfred. So the Q ratings, Manfred is actually rising up the charts because he's actually listening, saying, okay, let me listen to the fans. Let me listen to the players. Let me receive this input and try to implement it. So he's done that. Adam Silver, what can he do? What can he do to help the NBA?
You just saw the Houston Rockets yesterday. Now, baseball's got this problem, too. We've seen Oklahoma City, like, we're going to lose for many, many years in a row.
And it's the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yes.
They don't even try to win.
They don't. And I just... Man, it's so tough. Like the NFL, are there a Houston Texans team? Of course there are. I would be foolish to say that there wasn't a team like the Texans in the NFL. There is. But it does feel like if they just get something right in one draft, they could turn it around quickly, right? I don't get that same sense in the other two sports.
No, I don't. But even though baseball, the Orioles for a long time, it just takes a while to build.
Yeah.
Because you have to go through the minor league system. Yeah. You got single A, high A, double A, triple A. And then it takes a while it may take you 4 years to get to the big show. And then it may take you another 4 years to have an impact on the big show.
What do you think Adam Silver's biggest problem is right now as a commissioner?
I think it's too much player empowerment.
That's the number one thing.
Too many players are one. It makes them look like divas. All of a sudden, Kevin Durant goes to Brooklyn. Kyrie Irving's running amok, and all of a sudden, how does Kevin Durant, one of the biggest stars in the history of the NBA, get traded midseason? It's probably the biggest midseason trade ever. Think about that.
I mean, when Randy
Clyde
Johnson
Drexler got traded midseason, Dominique Wilkins, they weren't Kevin Durant.
Like, think of in baseball, the equivalent would be what, trading Ken Griffey Jr. at the deadline?
Yes, Bryce Harper.
Yeah, that wouldn't happen. Shohei Ohtani getting dealt at the deadline. It wouldn't happen. It normally does not happen.
It does not happen.
Not a player of that magnitude.
Not many. Ramirez got traded. Was that
No, that was at the deadline as well. But that was also he had kind of worn out his welcome. He had the
Machado got
testosterone
traded to the Dodgers at the deadline. That was a similar one. Machado. He got traded to the Dodgers.
But he was going to be a free agent at the end of the year.
Exactly.
So there's
Randy
Johnson.
In Baltimore, they were cheap at the time, saying, "Hey, we can't pay this guy. We don't get the revenue."
Durant's under contract for multiple years.
Right. That's the thing. He's got another 3-4 years on that deal.
I mean,
Kevin Durant.
As someone who loves the league as much as you do, because I know you love the NBA so much, and I think it has potential to be so much better than what we're seeing right now. As a television product, last night, Warriors versus Rockets. I have no false givings that Warriors-Rockets is some compelling, really matters in this grand scheme of things. But at the same point of time, like, if you had just watched the fourth quarter, that's all you needed to watch.
That's all you needed to watch. The first half was unwatchable.
Watch the fourth.
The first half was unwatchable. Now, say if it's a Pittsburgh Pirates, Baltimore Orioles game.
You could have that same argument.
Fantasy baseball, that's another aspect of everything. The fantasy football has gotten a lot of casual fans into football.
I
and
care
a lot
about
of casual
Titans,
fans.
Jags because of Tannehill or whatever.
It could be a random fan, Megan in Pleasanton. Be like, I'm not a diehard NFL fan, but Patrick Mahomes is on my fantasy football team.
Yes.
Baseball, kind of look at baseball. Like baseball, at times I'm like, the Giants are bad. How can I can I just keep my head in the game when it comes to baseball? Well, you know what? Me and my buddies, we have a keeper league that's been going on for 15 years. So now all of a sudden I do care about Royals Rays. I care about Bobby Witt Jr. leading off for the Royals. Fantasy basketball, for example, I've been out on that for 15 years. I quit. I was like, I can't do it because I don't know when the stars are playing.
Yeah.
I set my lineup and, oh, boy, Dwayne Wade's out for 3 days.
Don't
you know what I'm saying?
also think that the referees are part of this equation?
The referees have been awful.
Like last night's game is a great example. How many times did we stop the game, go to the referees, and now I've got the camera on the referees as they're huddling up, looking at a screen that we've seen the replay on 4 times.
No, all the time.
Figure this out.
Well, how about this? We always hype up Kevon Looney playing in 184 straight games in the regular season. AC Green played in 1,000 straight games. Pull up Chris Mullins' game logs year after year after year. 78, 82, 78, 82, 82, 82. That was a given. Now it's like a badge of honor if Mikal Bridges, oh my God, he hasn't missed a game in 3 years. Whoop-de-doo.
Well,
just go back to the 80s and 90s. These guys were like, I'm 75%, I'm playing.
What does Mully say to you and Darrell Wright say to you off to the side? I mean, I don't want you to give me all of it because I know some of it you can't.
I tell you what, former players.
What do they feel?
You could put Darrell and Mully, and I don't want to put words in their mouth. But it was like, you felt embarrassed to be on the injury report. You felt embarrassed that you couldn't practice.
When they sat Halliburton against the Warriors for load management, I was like, he's 23.
It's a joke.
I couldn't believe it. I might not see Halliburton all year.
That's Jim Barnett. I bet you Jim Barnett, he's not going to crush the players today. But all of a sudden, we're like, man, and it's remarkable that Looney hasn't missed a game in so long, considering his injury history.
And the way his career started, absolutely.
In the 90s, would that even be a conversation?
No.
Would we give that any credence to say, oh, man, Looney's played 184 straight games?
No, but it means something now.
It means a lot now. All of a sudden, it's like, yo, get this guy a gold medal.
Jordan Poole. I think one of the things where I get frustrated with people criticizing Jordan Poole on some level. Yeah, does he make a bad pass here and there? Does he not play defense? But he's at least available every single game. And in this particular NBA landscape, that is a market inefficiency. Like, he's absolutely valuable because he plays every game.
No doubt. So I think the NBA, in terms of this, we talk about baseball maybe having a first half and second half chat.
Yeah.
The NBA, forget the in-season tournament. That's stupid. That's just beyond.
Well, they're going to do it, which is dumb.
Which is just dumb, right? And the owners will never do it. They're not going to do it. The owners are not going to give up revenue gates, and I don't know how the finances break it down. They don't want to do that, no matter what.
Regional sports
Joe Lacob, you hear Joe Lacob?
I know
We're not giving up any games.
I know, but with this regional sports network implosion that's going on, it's kind of one of the more underrated stories. It will change the financials for a lot of these small market teams that have Bally Sports as one of their regional coverages. So they're going to miss out on it. I do think reimagining the NBA landscape in terms of scheduling is on the docks.
I will say this. There's owners out there who believe, okay, this guy doesn't want to play 82 games.
Then I'll pay him the 60. If he pays 60 of 80, I will pay him 2/3 of his salary.
Not only that, but they'll also say, I'll go find a guy who's going to play 82 games. I'll find a guy to go play 82 games.
That's an interesting point.
That's how these owners think. A lot of these owners think.
Well, do you blame them?
You don't want to play 82 games? I'll find somebody. They think it's a joke.
Well, do you blame them?
Absolutely not.
You know?
The fact that we complained over back-to-backs, these guys back in the day were playing 4 games in 5 nights, flying commercial, and giving us great products, great basketball. Now, it would have maybe prolonged their careers, but that's where the AAU comes in. That's an entirely different discussion.
There's layers to that.
There's layers to that conversation. Kids are playing way too much basketball at a younger age, I believe.
On the hard court, yes, I agree with
4
that.
games in 4 games in a day, and then you come back and play 8 games in 2 days. That's ridiculous.
Yes.
High-level basketball, that's stupid. SF Bay Trevor, I need the NBA back on NBC. There's something to that.
So that's something to that. Right now, they're negotiating. They're re-upping with ESPN and TNT, and TNT's already told them, we know it's going to cost twice as much to get less of the amount of games that we have now. They want to have a smaller package and of games, and they know that they're going to pay incrementally more. There's going to be a third person in there. So Adam Silver will make more money for the league because live sports and politics are the only things selling on live television.
No doubt. We love our live sports.
There's only so many of these rights that you can be a part of, and so Hulu, Apple, Amazon Prime, they're going to pay to just have that programming. Right now, MLS bought in with Apple Plus. Did you know that part of their deal was Apple Plus said, we'll buy in, but you have to add playoffs. So because they want more must-see
games,
stuff.
more must-see stuff. Let me ask you this, because SFA Drummer brings up the NBA on NBC, and I believe there's something about the presentation of the game that draws people in. And what I mean by that, when I see A-Rod, and he's a clown,
But he loves the game.
David Ortiz, Frank
How
Frank
good was
Thomas,
that last night?
Kevin Burkhardt, Dontrell Willis,
Yes.
Jimmy Rollins,
Ambassadors.
Curtis Granderson,
Yeah.
TNT,
Smiling.
They give you everything they got.
Yeah.
There's an urgency. The presentation of ESPN's NBA.
Van Gundy, miserable. Mark Jackson, miserable.
Forget the mics. I'm talking about just the pregame show.
Yeah.
Leading in. Greenberg, Stephen A. Smith, Michael Wilbon, and Jalen Rose. Compare that to Kenny Smith, Shaq, Barkley, and EJ.
Which is, I believe, the superior product.
Yes.
I would also say their Tuesday one with the guy with wears the turtleneck.
Adam Lefkoe.
Adam Lefkoe. He's very good. And when they had Dwayne Wade, I really liked him with Candace Parker. I thought Candace Parker loves the game. I actually enjoy listening to her commentary.
The presentation of it. When I get Sunday Night Football and Tony Dungy's boring behind the microphone, but in the studio, it screams big game.
Yeah.
It screams urgency. It screams, hey, I want to watch this. Well, I'm watching Greenberg, Stephen A. Smith. I'm like, turning the channel.
It's the main thing why I don't like Al Michaels. When I listen to him, it's like, been there, done that.
Been there, done that.
That's the feeling I get from him while he's there.
And everything about Amazon Prime before the game, and I'll let you get in here, Spinoni. Sherman screams, okay, urgency. I'm going to get everything that I need out of Richard Sherman. Whitworth getting better. Ryan Fitzpatrick I could do without. But you have some elements there that draws you in.
Yeah.
NBA and ESPN, they're talking about narratives about the league.
But even during the game, like Mark Jackson and Van Gundy, I like Van Gundy. He's miserable.
Sometimes he is miserable.
He's miserable.
Stan Van Gundy's a lot better.
And, Doris Burke is a lot better. I love Doris.
Mike
Doris
Breen
loves the game. They're bored by their own product.
Right. And when you think about NBA and ESPN, breaking down a basketball game, Kenny Smith's going to give you that.
Yeah.
Jalen Rose will give it to you, but he falls into that trap with Stephen A. Smith and Michael Wilbon. I can't take Mike Greenberg seriously.
I have enough of Stephen A. Smith on my television throughout the week, so I don't need him. And I know why ESPN's doing it. They're like, oh, we're paying you $10 million. Right. We're going to use you on everything. But it's garbage.
You're selling me a product, and you're getting ready for a big game at the NBA Finals. Stephen A. Smith and Mike Greenberg are there? Well, I'd rather have Malika Andrews.
You still don't like Tony Romo? I like Tony Romo because when he's there, he's into it. He's happy. He's excited. Troy Aikman, when he wasn't doing well, it felt like 5 years ago he made a distinction. He's like, you know what? I got to be more excited.
Yeah.
And then he became more excited.
And critical.
And it was better, and the product was better. When I hear the other commentary around the NBA, Perkins, JJ Redick, it's just anger, and I'm smarter than you, and I played and you didn't. And
Perkins sells out his former teammates and gives you all the luck.
But who's happy?
He looks like a snitch. Looks like a cottonelle.
He's hot takes. Right. Too. That's all he's doing. Like, they haven't had a legit NBA X's and O's, and it hasn't felt like a legit pre and post game show since Stuart Scott was on there. That's exactly what I remember.
I like that.
But
that's when I used to watch it.
Who's A-Rod? I know people hate A-Rod, but when I see David Ortiz and A-Rod, they are ambassadors of baseball, and they love the game.
Right.
Dan Orlovsky, who wasn't a great player, but loves football.
He's really
good. He gets geeked out, and I get geeked out when I watch him get geeked out. Who's the guy doing that in basketball?
Tim Legler. That's it. And they don't use him enough.
And they don't use him
enough because he does X's and O's, and they don't like that because he's not into the hot takes.
Legs is really good.
Like when they used to have, I go back to Stuart Scott, like when they used to have John Barry, who liked the X's and O's. He was really good with Wilbon. Magic was whatever, but he was Magic. He was happy. He was enthused and stuff like that. That was the good pre and post show. Ever since that, and God rest Stuart Scott's soul, they haven't been able to bottle that back up. Whether it was Michelle Beadle, whatever Sage Steele,
and Michelle Beadle had her agendas.
Yes.
She was go Spurs, go all the time. I don't need that.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I don't need that on my national. Malika Andrews, say what you want about her. You know what? She loves the damn game.
No, she does.
She gets into the game. She's very passionate about it.
It's not enough of her. It's too many other people on the screen.
And it's the presentation.
Yeah,
and that's where the NBA.
It's
it's all that stuff with the NBA. It's the way the players are running the league. It's the way your presentation on one of your main networks.
Well, think about what you had when we were growing up, like the Bulls era. Now I know there wasn't all these cable channels, and people were watching on NBC, and so it's different back then. You had Bob Costas, Bonte. Bob Costas and Marv Albert. You're talking about legends. And say what you want about Bob Costas. He can come off prickly.
No, I love Costas.
No, but,
you know how I feel about Costas.
But it means big time.
I love Costas.
Screams big time.
You know what? I'm glad you...
They used to have Mike Tirico.
Right.
Mike Tirico was when Tom Tolbert was excellent on ABC. They used to be together. It felt big time.
So Here's the dove. Here's the thing with Bob Costas during the pandemic. Somebody on Twitter posted him and his final thoughts on the NBA Finals. And it was about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And it was just legendary.
Yeah.
And it was all about the game. Their pregame intros, all about the game. When they would set the scene and set the tone, it was about the game and the players involved in that game. You don't get that anymore, man. And that's what we try to do on NBC Sports Bay Area with Mully and Kareth and Monty and D. Wright and Fezzi and the whole crew. We try to make the game feel big time. Forget the narratives. Forget the stuff off the floor. We really talk about that stuff. What's Kyrie? Or you may get some quick thoughts on it, and we move on quickly.
Well, yesterday is a great example on the pregame show. Darrell Wright references a pump fake. Because when you're facing a bunch of young guys, you put us above. Like, I'm thinking to myself, when was the last time you were watching one of those Saturday night games and they go to Greeny and all those guys, and instead they're talking about transactions and narratives and this. You never hear about, like, hey, against this defense, this is what I'd like to see them do.
Yep. Don't get that.
At all. That's my one criticism right now when I look at the Fox television for football. It feels stale and old, and they've kind of gotten away from what made them so good because they've been doing it for so long. And I think they need a little reset.
You need more baldies in that. You need more baldies. All right, that was a lot of fun.